There are several surprises in this show. Chief of War has once again confused itself from one episode to the next with a one-year time jump, the move of a key character to a whole different realm, and the arrival of possibly the most significant character of all. I'm more impressed by the artistic way it's done than by the fact that it keeps adding new layers to what is fundamentally the straightforward tale of a heroic exile and a wicked king. Take the cold open, which starts with that 1 year later title card, and then we're in the snowy mountains of Alaska, where Keōua has transformed into a mountain man who wears hides and carries a rifle. Thousands of miles away, however, we make a dramatic leap back to his wife, Kupuohi, and the cut between them makes it obvious that their thoughts are still about each other. The dreamlike editing continues weaving back and forth from the village in Hawaii to the ship in Alaska. While English castaway John Young teaches the Hawaiian children English, Black Sailor Tony, James Yudum, teaches Keōua the names of rifle parts. Elsewhere in the islands, King Kahekili begins festooning his fortification with the bones of his enemies, which is indicative of both the state of the war and the state of Kahekili's sanity. As Keōua takes aim on a hunt in the snow, the show cuts between his quarry and the king. When Keōua pulls the trigger, we are pointedly never shown whether his bullet found its mark or not. As the action moves outside of Hawaii, directors Anders Engstrom and Brian Andrew Mendoza skillfully preserve the series' sophisticated and costly aesthetic, working with a script written by Doug Young and co-creators Jason Momoa and Thomas Pae Sibit. Keōua and the crew of Captain Mears arrive in the busy port city of Zamboanga, which was once a part of the so-called Spanish East Indies and is now part of the Philippines. The entire area is packed with military and civilians from all over the world, but Keōua stands out in his vibrant chief's crest and cape. He is different, but not all that different. However, one of his countrywomen does notice him. Vi, Sisa Gray, who speaks Spanish and English well, is now in charge of a tavern and has a plan. There are forests of sandalwood in Hawaii, but it is a very costly commodity elsewhere. But nobody else is certain of the island's precise location. They could start and run a brand new sandalwood business with a loan from Captain Mears, whom she would take in as a partner, and assistance from Keōua, whose reputation and position would enable her to persuade the chiefs to approve the proposal. You have a pale-skin perspective on the world, Keōua initially scoffs. You ought to as well. Vi says. He's now seen what the white man's world is like and what it does to areas like Zamboanga, she says. She contends that Hawaii's only chance is to outsmart them. Because he has his sights set on a different goal, purchasing enough firearms to overthrow King Kahekili, Keōua ultimately consents to take part. I erred, he admits to her. I have to make it better. With firearms? Vi responds, it must have been a huge mistake. Well, it's big. Await her when she sees the sculptures of bones. But everywhere you look, you see filth. Despite forcing an enemy chief to witness the forced poisoning of his wife and son, Marley, Charlie Brumbley, the big-bearded shit-kicker on. Keōua intends to command an assault force that will return to the islands. When the good-hearted sailor discovers the scheme, he viciously beats him in an attempt to sell him into slavery. When we return to the actual kingdom of Hawaii, we encounter a guy who will soon be causing the islands to tremble. A young chief named Kamehameha, Keōua, is attractive and exceptionally strong. We first encounter him when he outdoes all of his friends in a competition that combines breath-holding, foot race, and underwater weightlifting. Even if her betrothed is a huge hunk of beefcake, Keōua is still not any pleased about her arranged marriage than she was a year ago. Although it's unclear whether she knows him well, the prophetesses prophesy from the previous episode that she will never bear the man the heir he wants is not the reason she dislikes or mistrusts him. If that's true, she will only be one wife of many who served him but was hardly forgotten. Life isn't worth living. Her father Moku, who organized the marriage, needs it to succeed for the prophecy that has been directing everyone from the beginning, not for political gain. On the night the comet that had been prophesied sped across the sky, Moku was there when Kamehameha was born. According to Moku, the purpose of that heavenly omen was to herald the birth of a monarch, not the ascent of the one who would unite the islands. The rise portion has finally arrived. According to Moku, he had a vision that Kamehameha would be by the great man's side. He observes alongside the other residents of the town via the bridal tent's translucent canvas as Kamehameha and his daughter consummate their union in the hopes of bearing an heir that Kamehameha thinks would never arrive. Anticipated, much to the dismay of his gay son, Prince Keōua, who is uncomfortable with his father's cruelty. His harsh son Keōua, Cliff Curtis, will succeed Kalaniʻōpuʻu after his death, and his plans for combat include a spectacular clash in the dunes at the base of a volcano, in which he would undoubtedly prevail. The king is impressed and irritated by Kamehameha's counterargument, which is that they should put aside their battle plans for a moment and focus on having enough edible food on hand to withstand any attack. The prince. Is he wise, attractive, and strong? Unless he is halted in his tracks, this man is obviously headed for greatness. If you are familiar with Hawaii's past, you are aware of this. This episode retains the same epic atmosphere as its predecessors, despite without the combat gore and intense fight and chase sequences. The expanse of the terrain is employed to imply both the huge scope of events and the extreme emotions of the individual people caught up in them, as is the case with many great pieces of historical fiction. Zamboanga's layout gives the impression that it is a market town from a fantasy book. And Kamehameha and Kamehameha's sex makes up for its lack of violence.